Today I'm going to share a tip about an area that so many people dread, and that area is, yes, those deadly silences, those awkward silences that can suddenly descend in even the best of conversations. But today I'm going to share all my tips of how you can handle those awkward silences, and I'm also going to share the real pro insider tip that will completely change your mindset about how you handle those awkward silences. All eyes on me. Hi, I'm Jane and welcome back to my channel. As always, if you could please subscribe and share if you think it's of value to somebody else. Let's jump into those awkward silences. We have all been in conversations where suddenly it seems to grind to a halt, and then both parties are sitting, trying not to make eye contact, but both feeling terribly uneasy. It's really uncomfortable to experience them. Now, it can be on either your side or the other person's side. So it can come about that you are talking and you've had your say, there's nothing more to add, and you think you're going to hand the microphone off to the other person, but they don't take it. And now both of you are sitting with crickets in the background and nothing being said. It can be the reverse. The other person speaking, you're listening to them, everything's going well, and then to you it almost seems as though they suddenly stop and there's nothing more forthcoming. You wait a few seconds, you nod, you smile to encourage them, but then you realize, oh my goodness, they've finished speaking. I don't know what to say, I don't know what's expected of me, and now both of us are sitting feeling really silly. This is normal. Absolutely normal. And it usually happens with people who don't know each other terribly well. If you know someone very well, it's easy. You jump in, you make conversation, and it all gets smoothed out. But if it's someone you don't really know terribly well, that's when these awkward silences come about. And a lot of the time, you don't know enough about them to figure out how to carry on the conversation. So the train of conversation has been going along, it derails, and both parties are thinking, how do we get this thing back on track? First of all, before we discuss how we're going to handle it, let me urge you to do 2 do's and a don't. Maybe it's 2 don'ts and a do. Anyway, the first thing is, don't panic. Don't panic. These silences always feel so much longer than they really are. To us, it's as though years passed in deadly silence. But in truth, it's only a few seconds, so don't panic. The second thing is, don't feel the urge to rush in and fill the dead air with words. This rarely works out well. Often you'll end up saying something you might regret later, or you walk away embarrassed thinking, ugh, why did I say that? So don't rush in to fill the dead air. And this is where the insider pro tip comes in. My third one is a do. Definitely do breathe. So what you're doing when you breathe is you are taking control of the situation, and you are, as I've said in a million videos, owning the pause. So instead of thinking, oh, this is such an awkward silence, think to yourself, this is an unintentional pause. This is a pause that landed between us, but I, as an effective communicator, will handle it. So all you do, as we know, when we're owning a pause, you stop. You breathe, you drop your shoulders, and you organize your thoughts. In that time of you organizing your thoughts, you are taking control of this train, this conversation, and you're the person who's going to figure out how to get it back on track. But don't worry, this getting it back on track is not all up to you. You're not the person who's got to solve this and the other speaker just sits there along for the ride. Not at all. In fact, a couple of my tips will get the other speaker to do the work, allowing you more time to think calmly about how you're going to move forward. So let's look at the 4 areas that we can include and bring into these awkward silences, these unintentional pauses, to move the conversation forward. The first one that I really find works is ask their opinion on something. Everybody loves being asked their opinion. It's almost you saying, you seem smart enough that you would know this answer. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. So ask their opinion, but don't ask their opinion on something where they can just go, yes. So don't say something like, it's really hot today, because the person quite conceivably could say, yes, it was. Right? And now we're nowhere, we're stuck again. So ask them an opinion on something that requires a little bit of effort on their side, but it can't be anything controversial. Don't ask their opinion on politics or religion or money or anything that you know is going to be a bit difficult with someone you really don't know that well. So ask their opinion about something that's even just in your surroundings, but that is innocuous. It's not, you're not going to have a very strong opinion. They're unlikely to have a very strong opinion. It's just a thought. So you could be sitting, say you're in a meeting room, you've arrived for a meeting, you arrive at the exact same time as someone else does, and you don't know this person, but as an effective communicator, you know to not jump on your phone. You know you should be talking to this person to build a relationship that will help you grow your career. So now we know we need to speak to this person, and we've come in at hello, good morning, how are you? Fine, it's going to be a nice meeting, yes, whatever. Now we both sit. Awkward silence descends. This is when you ask their opinion on something simple and innocuous. You can look around, see what's in the room, and say something like, why do you think they went with all these fake plastic plants in here, right? Or, I wonder if they really imagined those purple curtains would work, okay? Nothing offensive, you're just making a conversational point. With an opinion asked like that, it's not likely the other person is going to go, I don't know, right? They're most likely going to say, I don't know, maybe their plastic plants are a lot cheaper, or maybe they look better, they don't need water, but they're not as healthy. I think healthy plants, real plants, are better for us, something like that. Now we've got the conversation back on track, and you can build from there. So the first one is ask a simple opinion. The second one is set them up to tell a story. Okay, so now you're putting the ball in their court and teeing them up to share a story. So going off, building on what we talked about with the fake plant situation, just an example, you could say to them, you seem to know quite a lot about the difference between healthy plants and real ones, and real and fake and whatever. Is this something you've been interested in? Have you studied this? Is this something that you would like to do? Right? Now, not only are you asking their opinion, you're flattering them, and you're opening the door for them to step in and provide some sort of answer. Again, it's unlikely they're going to go, no, I was never interested in that. Most people will offer a little bit of a story. Now we've got the train back on tracks. That's situation 2. Situation 3 is simply make an observation. Okay, or wherever you are. So imagine you're sitting at a social event and you've just met someone in this new social group. You've never met them before. Everybody else moves through to the dining room. You've been chatting with this person, and now it's kind of ground to a halt and it's awkward. So what you can do is make an observation about something that relates to you. So you could say, it was really cold today, and the funny thing is, even when it's cold, I still find myself reaching for the iced coffee. Like, what's up with that? I don't automatically, just because it's cold, want a hot drink. Okay, all you've done is made an observation. You haven't asked a question of them, etc. I guarantee they will come back with something. Even if it's a simple question like, oh, you drink iced coffee the whole year? Maybe they'll say, so do I, or I never drink iced coffee. Again, we've got the train back on the track. The last one is share an experience, your personal experience. This can be a little bit more difficult, takes a bit of confidence to do it, but it really is worth practicing. So share an experience is when the deadening silence descends and you sit there, and after a second, you've paused, you've breathed, you've organized your thoughts, you say, do you want me to tell you what my little puppy did this morning? It was really funny. Again, unlikely the person's going to go, no. Most likely they'll say, sure, I'd like to hear about your puppy. Tell me about your puppy. Now we're back on track and we've got the conversation going again. Most of these awkward silences don't need an entire lecture to fill them. They simply need a little bit of a bump to get them back on track. And I guarantee these all work. I want to end off with one thing, and this is accept that some conversations do reach a natural end. They just come to an end, and both parties are ready to walk in different directions, and that's okay. If you'd like to find out how you can extricate yourself from conversations or get someone to move along, just drop a comment in the boxes below and I'll make a video about that. Just say something like video about getting out of conversations and I'll make a video about that, because that works too. So what are we going to do for our homework? Go back, you've got the 4 points, ask their opinion, set them up for a story, make an observation, share your experience, write those down, make a note of them, and then take a few minutes to figure out how you could ask questions or share those things when you suddenly get into that awkward silence. Best to prepare it beforehand. Have a couple of ideas in mind, because when that silence does descend, immediately you're going to know, oh, I've got something in my back pocket. I know what I'm going to pull out here. I'll do my breathing, I'll organize my thoughts, and I'll move on. I guarantee this really, really works, and it is the sign of an effective communicator. As always, thank you for your time. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next week. All eyes on me.